Hello and welcome to a special episode of To The Point with the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and Urban Development and former President of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Venkaiah Naidu. Amongst the subjects that Mr. Naidu has agreed to speak on is the belief that there's a mood of intolerance sweeping across the country, the protests by writers and authors and artists who have returned several awards, as well as the government's response, by which I mean both the Prime Minister's response as well as that of the Finance Minister. Mr. Naidu is the first senior minister of this government who has been prepared to speak about these issues. Mr. Naidu, let's start with the Prime Minister's comments to Anand Bazar Patrika about the Dadri lynching. This was perhaps one of the most horrific things that has happened in the country since independence. It's shaken the conscience. And yet it took the Prime Minister over 15 days to speak directly about it, and many people believe he only did it under pressure of public opinion. How do you respond to that view?
I am not able to understand. Is it the first time such things happen in this country? They have been happening earlier. It is condemnable. The party has condemned it. The party president have condemned it. And something or other happening in some part of the country. Every day you want the Prime Minister to make a running commentary.
Except that this is not something or the other. This was the brutal lynching of a man.
Definitely.
On the allegation he had beef in his fridge.
Point is, it's a brutal killing, atrocious, totally unacceptable, condemnable. But why does the Prime Minister comes in? There is a Chief Minister. Why are you not even mentioning about the Chief Minister? In whose state has happened? I'll
tell you why the Prime Minister comes in. I'll give you two reasons. First of all, on the time when the Dadri lynching happened, the Prime Minister found the opportunity to tweet about Navjot Singh Sidhu's health. He tweeted about Asha Bhosle's son's death. But on Muhammad Akhlaq, he was silent. And given that he communicates so often and on such a range of subjects, people were surprised. Some were even upset by the Prime Minister's
This is not
silence.
the first time, Karanji, on each and every issue, from the day when we came to office, the opposition, our critics started saying, why Prime Minister is silent? Why he is not talking? Why he is not making statement? On each and every issue, people want Prime Minister to make a statement. He made a statement at the right opportune time. And then he made a correct statement also.
That was
I can tell
almost 15 days after the brutal killing.
That's what I'm saying.
It was a general homily that he made.
See, it's a law and order issue to be dealt by the state. If Prime Minister is going to speak on each and every incident, even if it's horrible, happening in different states, then what will happen to federal system of the country? The law and order has to be taken care by the state. The concerned people have condemned it. The BJP has condemned it. Why are you bringing in Prime Minister in each and everything? Not
I'll tell you why.
Many of the people.
Let me answer that for a second time. The reason why people believe the Prime Minister should speak is because in India, the Prime Minister is not just a political leader. In India, the Prime Minister has a responsibility when something has shaken the moral conscience of the country to come up with a stand around which the country can rally and unify. He refuses to do that in the case of Muhammad Akhlaq.
It's argument being built up as if there is nobody in India. Do you think that we ministers at the center and then party functionaries, we are irrelevant? We are not supposed to speak?
But the Prime
we don't have the right? The Prime Minister speaks as and when required. He has spoken in Parliament umpteen number of times on many important issues. He has spoken on this issue also. He will be speaking as and when required. Why are you trying to bring everything to Prime Minister?
Because he's special. He's the face of the country, the face
Definitely
of the
is the Prime Minister. But there is a ministry, there is an administration.
Except that this was something that happened that has probably never happened before. A man battered to death because he was suspected to have beef. Anyway, having beef is not a crime. That's why people thought the PM should speak.
It's an expectation. I don't find fault with you. But he has reacted at a right time. My point is, in this country, there is a system, sir. There is a district administration, there is a state government which is independent and ruled by a different party. If the Prime Minister makes statement, then again tomorrow you say that because it happened in UP, he reacted immediately. It has happened in Maharashtra, he is not reacting immediately. Why are you trying to bring in? The idea is, I will tell you, there is a systematic, massive, malicious campaign going against Sri Narendra Modi. Modi means making of developed India. Some people are not ready to digest this fact. That's why they are trying to bring in Prime Minister in each and every aspect. People like you who are very enlightened people, you should not fall prey to these tactics of disinformation and malicious campaign. That's my appeal to you.
Mr. Naidu, I accept that law and order is first the prerogative and the duty of the Chief Minister to handle. But when something as outrageous and unprecedented as a man...
I don't agree unprecedented.
Let me finish, sir. I can't recall in history any man ever being battered to death by a mob because of suspicion he had beef in his home, which is anyway not a crime. That's why it's unprecedented.
I'm not
and it
going,
shook the country.
Sir.
That's why when that happens, it goes beyond the level of the Chief Minister. The PM represents the country, Chief Ministers don't.
No, that's why he condemned it. Now leave it at that stage. Why are you again bringing Prime Minister into each and everything? Except unless you have an agenda.
Let me put it like this. Comparisons are odious, and I don't mean at all to offend you. But in 1947, when Hindu and Muslim riots were happening in Delhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, driving through Chandni Chowk, saw Hindus attacking a lonely Muslim tailor. He jumped out of his car and personally saved the Muslim tailor. In 2015, as far as I know, even after 17 days,
the Chief Minister did not act.
Mr. Modi
the government did not act.
No, Mr.
It's unfortunate, and you are just ignoring that fact.
You haven't let me finish. In 2015, even after 15 days and more, the Prime Minister has not contacted Muhammad Akhlaq's family to express his grief, to share their sorrow. That's a human gesture from the PM.
Sir, point is, you are trying to bring into each and every incident of the country the Honorable Prime Minister. He is doing his job. And then you are omitting the government, basically, which is responsible, the Uttar Pradesh government. You have not even mentioned the name also, not only you, the so-called critics also. They are not concerned. They want Narendra Modi to take care of each and every person.
Because Akhilesh Yadav doesn't rule the country, Narendra Modi does.
Yes.
Narendra Modi is special.
There
Akhilesh
is a state,
Yadav is just
such
another
an
Chief
intelligent
Minister.
man like Karan Thapar, ignoring the fact that we are in a federal system and UP is a state where there is a Chief Minister, and it is his responsibility, basic responsibility, in which he has failed, and he is trying to make a political issue out of it by diverting the attention of the people, and they were all falling prey to the same.
Let's come back to what the Prime Minister said to Anand Bazar Patrika in the interview he gave. He described the Dadri lynching, according to the English translation, as sad and undesirable. Many people, for example Shashi Deshpande, Ram Gua, said that was weak language. A stronger condemnation was needed. Sad and undesirable is euphemistic.
See, people have got every right to have their own impressions and interpretations. In what language PM should speak, better it is left to the Prime Minister. And you can't expect a minister to comment on the Prime Minister's comment.
Except for the fact that people were looking for an expression that would match the feelings of the country. Don't you think in using his words so carefully, so delicately, the Prime Minister didn't match the mood of the country?
I don't think the mood of the country is such. The mood of the country is development. Mood of the country is strengthening the hands of Narendra Modi. The mood of the country is unity. The mood of the country is not this sort of a malicious campaign going on against the Prime Minister, who is elected with a massive mandate.
What about the comments made by BJP ministers and BJP MPs, which were not just provocative, but they outraged people? For instance, Satpal Singh said that the Dadri lynching was a small thing. Mahesh Sharma, the culture minister, went on record to say,
why are you going on individual, sir? And the party president have condemned it, and the senior ministers have condemned it. You are taking some name here and there, and then try to highlight it and want to show the government and the party in a poor light. My president is the supreme authority as far as the party is concerned. He made a categorical statement immediately. That's the end of the story.
Shouldn't the Prime Minister have distanced himself from what his own ministers and MPs are saying? Because when he doesn't, people sometimes think maybe he doesn't disagree with them.
He distanced a number of times as and when required. There is no need for the Prime Minister.
Was it not required here?
That's why he gave a statement. He knows that his ministers are capable, his president is capable, and they have given a categorical statement, and as and when required, Prime Minister speaks. I am not able to understand about this. How many times the earlier regimes, earlier Prime Ministers have reacted as and when required? You have to do a research on that.
Let me put it like this. Today, the Chief Minister of Haryana, in an interview to the Indian Express, and it's all over the front page, has said, Muslims are free and welcome to live in India, but they have to give up eating beef. Now, that's not part of the constitution, it's not part of the law. Is that the BJP's new position?
That's not the position of the BJP.
Do you condemn the Chief Minister for saying
First of all, I have to verify whether it is rightly reported or not, because newspapers, they have got their own way of reporting. I have a report yesterday saying that two Janasangh stalwarts, their anthropology is going to be a matter of study. One is Ashutosh Mukherjee, who died in 1924, father of Dr. Syam Prasad Mukherjee, and another is Kanyaral Munshi, who was a minister in Nehru's cabinet, quit and joined Swatandra Party. That is the headline of an important newspaper.
You're absolutely right in pointing out one wrong report, but all reports are wrong.
Let us verify. I will talk to the Chief Minister, I will tell him, I will advise him if necessary.
But if it turns out that this is an accurate report, will you then criticize and condemn
even
him?
before asking, I am telling you, I will talk to him, I will advise him.
And what would your advice be?
I will advise him, this is wrong. That's
will
not the
tell.
policy of the party or the government.
And this is not the policy of the party?
Yes.
You're saying that categorically as a responsible minister?
Clear.
Muslims are free to eat beef in India if they want.
Whatever they want to eat, they can eat. That is guaranteed by the constitution. Only thing is, you have to respect the sentiments of others also. Whether you want to respect it or not, we leave it to them.
All right. Let's move beyond the Prime Minister, your MPs and your ministers and what they said about the Dadri lynching. Let's come to something else that's happened as well. Something like 30, maybe by now 35, writers and artists have returned a whole series of awards like the Sahitya Academy Award, the Sangeet Natak Academy Award, even Padma Award. And you know and I know, this is unprecedented. Nothing like this has ever happened before. How do you, as a minister, view this development?
Anybody returning an award is not a happy thing, according to me. I am not a literary man. I am an ordinary.
This saddens you? This saddens you?
Let me explain. No? But if you see what is happening in the recent days, the timing, there is a Bihar election going on. Secondly, and there seems to be a systematic campaign behind this. Somebody is coordinating the efforts. That appears to be.
Who is this somebody?
Let us see, sir. Please hear me. The point is, all these years, 60 years, the other view, the nationalist view, the original view from the soil was not allowed to be heard because the people who have ruled the country, they were influenced by Macaulay's educational system and mindset, and secondly, Soviet model of socialism, and thirdly, some of these people are all dedicated to a particular family who has favored them. So they have been telling people that everything Indian is wrong and everything foreign or everything Western is good or everything Soviet model is fine. Our Indian systems, ethos, and have no values. But my point is, today, these people, if at all they have something to protest, they could have protested by writing against what they feel is it. Why they have not protested? When Kalburgi, a writer, was killed in Karnataka, there is a government there in Karnataka, presided by Congress party, which is their most favorite party. Nobody has opened their mouth.
Can I come in?
Yes, please. Dabolkar, who was killed in Maharashtra, then also who was there, Congress party, they did not open their mouth on that also. And this same people, 1984, when 6 were massacred, you are using word for one person or even child or big is condemnable, I am telling you once again. But when thousands of people were massacred, none of these people raised their voice except 1 or 2. And then in 1975, an emergency was imposed and lakhs of people were put into jail and media was gagged.
Forgive me.
Media was
the lady
gagged.
who started the protest, Nayantara Sehgal, was a prime opponent of the emergency. Her mother was Mrs. Gandhi's aunt and opposed the emergency.
Sir, she is
so
great.
You can't bring her up as an example.
I am not bringing her. She is great. Even as a student, I went to jail. JP was jailed, Morarji was jailed, Kuldeep Nair, Ramnath Goenka, C.R. Irani, please. That's the problem with this. In this country, people are not ready to allow and hear the alternative view. The alternative is you are silent on emergency, you are silent on anti-Sikh massacre, you are silent on Muzaffarnagar, and you are silent on what is happening. And suddenly, now that because you are not able to digest the mandate of the people to give it to Modi, you want to protest it, and then an orchestrated campaign is going on. I want to qualify it. I want to qualify it.
You have to give me a chance to speak.
Yeah. It's your interview, you have got every right and you may censor what I am saying.
No, I won't censor, but I don't want to interrupt.
My point is that some are misled. Okay. Some are being misled. Some of these writers might have genuinely thought, Can I come in now? I've heard you speak, and to me it was like a volcanic eruption of lava. Yes.
I get the feeling that these writers and artists who've returned their awards have rattled the government. They've disturbed the government because the emotion with which you spoke,
they have
almost
not
like lava out of a volcano.
They are disturbing the conscience of the country. India is tolerant. We don't need lessons from anybody. Genetically, every Indian is a tolerant person. If there are some incidents happening here and there, they happened earlier, they are happening now, and they have to be condemnable, and they have to be dealt by the respective state governments, and you are trying to bring in Prime Minister for each and everything. Let's
come back to the writers who've handed in awards. You're agreeing with Arun Jaitley, who says this is manufactured. You're agreeing with Arun Jaitley, who says this is a rebellion against the government. You're also agreeing with Arun Jaitley, who separately says These are people who had influence in previous governments, they don't now, therefore it's their frustration that's leading them to protest. You're agreeing with all of that?
It's obvious, Karanji, it's obvious. You have seen also these people enjoyed patronage earlier. Now they are feeling that the same is not available to them. Leftists who are there behind Congress party and it was in trouble, they have been given position to vintage positions in various institutions in the country, and now they feel that they are being threatened, or the other views coming which they are not able to digest. I am saying we suffered for years together. You don't want in the other view you want to be heard here, and the people have given us a mandate. This protest is against the mandate of the people.
Mr. Naidu, both you and Mr. Jaitley have taken a very aggressive, combative stand. You're drawing battle lines between the government and writers and artists.
Writers
is
means
that wise? Is
there
that
are no
wise?
writers. I am not saying combining all. There may be some people. Suppose somebody says something, and if I criticize him, I am joining. There are no other writers. The people who have not surrendered the awards. No, please, no. The people who have not surrendered the
motives. You're attributing motives to people.
Yeah, they are attributing motives to why they are silent on Karnataka government, why they were silent on Maharashtra government earlier, why they were silent on the anti-Sikh massacre at that time, why this selective this thing. This is the point which I am raising. My point is, and then see the venom some people are pouring. Yesterday one of the senior journalists writes an article saying that if Narendra Modi dies of heart attack tomorrow, then so and so will be the Prime Minister. Is it the level? I am really shocked.
Absolutely. What individual journalists write is not to be confused with the writers and artists who are taking principal positions.
There are many writers and also who are appreciating this government.
Can I make a point? Please. Instead of taking the combative, aggressive stand that you and Mr. Jaitley have taken, why did you not instead say to them, look, like you, we share your concern about intolerance. Let's join hands together to protect the values and freedoms of the India we cherish.
Definitely, we are doing it. We are doing it.
You're making them enemies.
No,
not just
I am
opponents.
not making them enemies. I am saying some are misread. Some are misread. Some are misreading. I am not totally condemning
you said
anybody.
There was a conspiracy a moment ago.
Yeah, there is. The leftists.
Who's the conspirator? Who's the conspirator?
No, the leftists who carried the Congress on their piggy bag, they are feeling threatened by the new regime.
Is the left behind this?
These are definitely the ideas.
Are you accusing CPI and CPM?
No. Today, the CPM General Secretary has said these people have stood for secular values. That means to say that people who have not returned the awards, they are anti-secular.
So you are completely unsympathetic. In fact, you are bitter and combative about the behavior of artists and writers who handed back awards. You're not sympathetic at all.
The phraseology, the language, I leave it to you. As far as I am concerned, I am speaking for an average Indian. He is upset because the India's name is being defamed by this, but by this way of condemning everything as if India has gone.
You're saying the
totally
writers
intolerant.
and artists who've handed back awards are defaming India?
Their actions are moving in that direction.
They believe they're upholding the highest values of India.
You might have seen that what happened to the highest values during emergency. What happened anti-Sikh this thing. It's selective. That's my point. It is selective. Why now only?
I named Nayantara Sehgal, whose mother and she were great opponents of the emergency.
Salute to Nayantara Sehgal. Salute to Kuldeep Nayyar. Salute to Ramnath Goenka.
There were several others who also were opponents of what happened in 84 and also what happened in 2002.
Sir, salute to. Please try to understand Sivaram Karat, Kuldeep Nayyar, Nayantara Sehgal, or even Ramnath Goenka, the great man. Hats off to them, salute to them. Once again, I am saluting them. But question is of these people who are now trying to defame the government and defame also India by their own actions.
You really believe they're defaming India?
Some of them, definitely.
You're not speaking loosely out of anger?
No.
That's a thoughtful, considered point you're making.
Yes, definitely. Some of their actions, some of them.
Can I put this to you? Ordinary Indians value their government. Ordinary Indians value their writers, artists and celebrities. When suddenly you find a situation where the government and writers and artists are becoming enemies, where the government is drawing battle lines,
government is nowhere in the
picture. And worries
the
India.
Government of India has no role in Dadri. Government of India has no role in Karburgi's issue.
But are you responding to the writers in the right way?
You are confusing. If you are sad with what has happened to Karburgi, you have to condemn it, you have to write about it. And if you want to find fault with the government, you have to find fault with the right government. You are finding fault with the government of India. There I am upset. There I am unhappy. You are selective. You are leaving the real people who are responsible in UP and in and you are saying there is intolerance across the country.
Can I break out of this tutu meme and broaden the discussion a little?
Why should that's what I am saying. Tutu meme is hoping Prime Minister will die tomorrow. That is tutu meme, not my reaction.
That is the comment of an individual journalist
an
for which I'm not
journalist.
responsible. I'm not responsible. He's not responsible for me. I'm not responsible for him.
I am not responsible for what has happened.
Let me come to this. Many people hearing you, many people who read what Mr. Jaitley wrote on his Facebook will say there's a very sad situation where battle lines are being drawn between the government and writers and artists. Let me finish the question. All I'm asking is, are you happy that you converted people who are protesting into enemies? Are we happy with this situation?
I am not converted, sir. They are our ideological rivals. Some of them, they are very keen. They are not able to digest the fact that India has voted for Modi. And Modi is taking the country forward. Some of them are not happy because of their left moorings. Some of them are unhappy because of their sympathy towards a particular family which has patronized them all these years. Some of them. I did not say all. And you have seen also, I said, hats off to Nayanthara Sehgal. I may differ with her on a particular issue. Agree to disagree is the basic principle of democracy.
But when you talk about they're all connected to a particular family,
not all.
It's almost Nayanthara by name you're suggesting, because she's so clearly connected, although she's an opponent.
She is a relative, sir, but she never endorsed what these people have done. I am talking of the people who received patronage. You are trying to misunderstand. Patronage, one set of people who are given patronage all these years.
You're suggesting because of patronage they've been bought over, that their principles and loyalty is somehow
confused. I am not using the words
confused.
like bought over and all. I never do it. I am only upset. Why silent on emergency? Why silent on anti-Sikh rights? Why silent on Muzaffarnagar? Why silent on other issues? Why only violent now after Modi becomes Prime Minister? Though government of Uttar Pradesh is responsible, government of Karnataka is responsible, you are not finding fault with them and you are trying to defame this government. This is where I feel upset.
Let's broaden the discussion. There are many in India. I'm not talking now about writers, I'm not talking about artists who've handed back their awards, I'm talking about ordinary Indians. There are many who look at recent events, the Dadri lynching, the attack on Sudhindra Kulkarni, the fact that Ghulam Ali's concert had to be cancelled in Mumbai, the beef and meat bans, the killing of rationalists, and they get an uncomfortable feeling that India is becoming intolerant. How do you respond to those people?
I don't agree with you at all. We have independence 68 years. So many things have happened at times during the earlier regime. But now only selectively, aggressively, people are trying to portray this as if these things are happening because of this government. This government have nothing to do with any of these things. You have seen in Mumbai when something happened, the government of Maharashtra, led by BJP Chief Minister, provided needed protection at the cost of being one of my other being unhappy also. Secondly, the action that has to be taken from by the government, at times government has been acting. But in this country, law and order is a state subject and people, intelligent people, are trying to confuse the state issue to a national issue and trying to defame the government.
Separate the two issues. Let's not say this creeping intolerance is because of the central government, but do you accept there is a creeping mood of intolerance in the country?
I don't agree with that. These incidents are condemnable. They were happening earlier. They happened recently.
But aren't there more of them happening now?
No, I don't agree with that. This is again another way of trying to link it with this government. I am telling you, such things happened earlier. They are barbaric. They are not according to Indian ethos. We condemn them. We condemned it at that time, we condemn it now also. Don't be selective.
Many people, or maybe at least some people, say that the creeping intolerance they sense is a direct result in some way of the fact that the BJP won a majority in the Lok Sabha the first time ever in history. And as a result, they say supporters or fringe elements connected with you have become more assertive and are now acting with impunity.
The answer lies in the first part of your question. Some people enjoyed power and they feel that it is their birthright, except them nobody should rule. An ordinary person has become Prime Minister of India with a massive majority. He is getting wider support everywhere in the entire world, and people are coming and appreciating India. Some people are not able to tolerate this. They are not able to digest this. That's the problem. That's precisely the problem. And they want to paint this government and they want to tar this government.
What's happened in the last few weeks is not just troubling in India, but it's also been widely reported abroad. Do you think India's image abroad has suffered as a result of things like what happened to Sudhindra Kulkarni, the Dadri lynching, right? The cancellation of concerts by Ghulam Ali, because all of that has been reported extensively abroad. Do you think India's image has suffered?
We see these wrong signals have gone, but people will understand and appreciate once they see the reality and what is happening.
But you
in
accept
the country.
wrong signals have gone?
Definitely, even a small incident sends wrong signals, sir. Within the country, outside the country, it's not what happened to Sudhindra Kulkarni is not acceptable to me. I immediately condemned it. I had tweeted on my Twitter. Unfortunately, some of the media has not picked it up that way. That's not an issue. Secondly, even Dadri also, it was condemned. It really pains anybody. Any civilized person is pained by this. But question is linking one incident, bringing Prime Minister, bringing government. This is not good.
Can I say one thing?
Please.
The language you've used to talk about Dadri is very reassuring. You've used emotion, you've used strong words of condemnation, you've said you're personally pained by it.
Definitely, how can any human being accept?
Can I finish?
Please.
If only the man who is the face of the government and the face of India had spoken in that language.
Do you think that ministers are
everyone
irrelevant?
would have said,
No,
he's hit the right note.
No, see, do you think that ministers are irrelevant? On one side, you are saying everything is centralized. On the other side, sometimes you say the ministers are being made irrelevant, and the minister says something. I am a former president of the party. I know what I am speaking. As a human being, how can you accept the other person being killed or lynched because of his food habits? It's totally unacceptable, totally condemnable, and the action should be taken against those people who are responsible.
Let me put it like this. The Prime Minister has made an enormous, very laudable effort traveling the world, inviting foreign investors to come and make in India. He's had a huge impact internationally, and he's been admired at home. Now, when that picture of Sudhindra Kulkarni's black face appeared in probably every American, British, European television channel, in probably every paper, suddenly investors are going to say, is that the India I'm going to go to? Is that the country I want to go to? And then, when the Prime Minister is silent and says nothing, people say, his great effort is being undermined by his silence on Sudhindra Kulkarni, just to take that one example.
See, one example is not going to influence the investor. For information, yesterday here in the same room, 30 businessmen from China came and spent 1 hour with me. They want to invest in India. Yesterday evening, 12 important Malaysian companies came and met me. They want to invest in India. Yesterday, this IBM, this cloud company, they came and they want to invest. Only yesterday, I'm telling you of the examples of yesterday. They are more intelligent, sir, investors. You might have seen yesterday Ernst & Young, please. Ernst & Young, I think if I'm right.
It is. You're absolutely right.
Ernst & Young
The most inviting investment destination in the world.
They interviewed 500 big companies across the world.
But it was before Dadri, it was before Sudhindra Kulkarni, it was before Ghulam Ali.
You will be rest assured. You are trying to link individual incidents and then highlighting them and then trying to tar the image of the government. Please don't do it. And the government is there. Okay. It should affect Uttar Pradesh. People will think about Uttar Pradesh. People will think about Karnataka. But they are also part of India. That's why I'm worried.
Can I sum up this part of the interview by putting it like this? I've discussed with you the concerns people have about the Prime Minister's initial silence or the way he phrased himself when he eventually spoke to Anand Bazar Patrika. I've discussed with you the issues and the reasons why writers and artists gave back their awards, and you've told me that they're conspirators, that they see themselves as opponents or enemies.
You are all using these words. Some of them, I said some of them suddenly woke up. They were suffering with selective this thing. Earlier they have not. And Sahitya Academy and Dadri, I don't know what is the connection and all. Any civilized man has to condemn Dadri.
But let me finish. I was summing up. What I'm putting to you is this, that on all these issues that we've discussed, the PM's response, Arun Jaitley's response, the manner in which the PM spoke, your ministers and BJP MPs, as well as the artists, on all of those, the impression I get is that you're unsympathetic to what is being said by way of criticism, you're unsympathetic to the protest. Have I understood that correctly?
Your impression is wrong. I am not able to understand why this selective condemnation, why this time lapse of so many incidents silent and then suddenly become violent in
Is there a persecution complex in the BJP that's developing? Do you see yourselves as victims that are being pushed into a corner by people who won't accept you?
Corner, we got the mandate of the people. State after state I am winning. Maharashtra I have won. Rajasthan I have won.
Why do I sense this victimization in your manner?
Because of this selective condemnation and because of the people who have occupied the important positions, they are misusing their position and trying to start disinformation.
But is there a minority, as you say, then they don't count? Why get so vituperative?
Because they are
Why be so volcanic about them?
They are giving over importance, and people like you who are supposed to be neutral, you are also influenced and asking the same questions and then speaking the same language at times. That's why we are pained. We feel that this is the influence these people are having. Otherwise, we know very well, public at large in the country, there with the Prime Minister, there with the party, see Assam, see Punjab, see Rajasthan, see Madhya Pradesh, see Bangalore, one after another, even corporation elections we are winning.
Can I put this to you? You may well be right when you say the public is with the Prime Minister because he won a huge mandate, an unprecedented mandate for the last 30 years. That being the case, be more generous about people who are opposing you, even if you think they're wrong. Why be so personal? Why be so targeted? Why be so bitter? Why be so combative?
Have we arrested anybody? Have we attacked?
I hope you haven't even thought of it. I hope you haven't even thought of it.
We should not even think on those lines also, because you asked that question. And have we hurt anybody? Is the government of India anywhere in the picture in any of these incidents? And the government of India, our agenda, we are upset here. I will tell you, 1 minute please allow me. The government steadfast is working on the welfare and development of the people. Development, good governance. That's what we are doing. And these people are trying to divert the attention, and then these people are trying to
Isn't that another reason for Mr. Modi to speak out so that he doesn't get diverted?
He is not getting diverted. That's in spite of all your provocations. Somebody wishing that he should have a heart attack. Though he has a heart, he did not attack anybody.
We've had a very open, fulsome conversation. I want to applaud you for the fact, as I said in the introduction, you are so far the first and only minister who's been prepared to answer these questions. Can I say just one thing?
Please.
The BJP in your government would do a lot to change the way even your opponents perceive you if more ministers like you would agree to talk and answer questions. You may not like the question, but answer it. Why don't you encourage your ministers to speak?
Sir, ministers are at liberty. Who should speak, when to speak, how to speak.
But they choose not to speak at all.
No, it's not like that. No, simply because they have not given an interview to you. You don't say that
they don't seem to give interviews at all to anyone.
They're going around, they're meeting people.
There is not a single senior minister who has spoken on the subjects I've discussed with you. Not a single one. You're the first.
Then the others also will be giving interviews to various channels, may not be to your channels.
All right.
Be speaking.
Let's hope they do, because I think you've set a precedent they should follow. I both thank you and congratulate you for speaking and for facing up to all the questions I asked. A pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.